welcome to Game Brain, a board game podcast about our gaming group. I am your host, Matthew Robinson, back from the dead. Joining me this week, two dear friends of mine, Ben Mandelker, Jordan Saya. How are you guys?
Doing really well. It's so good to see you after 4 years.
It's been
welcome
a minute.
back.
Great.
Now,
it is great. Great to see you.
I don't think I've been on the podcast since our end of the year. So that was like 6 months ago. And the reason for that is I had a crazy health year. I had a bit of a health scare, a bit of a cancer scare, if you will. I'm totally fine now. Had to have some wild surgeries, had to recover for a while, had to sort of take a step back from gaming and stuff, but 100% recovery, bump in the road, like it never happened. I'm good to go. No one has to worry about me.
That's great.
And yeah, it was just it was a wild half of a year health wise. Work wise, everything's been great. I still kept working. Everything was good. Family's great. Kids are great. Wife's great. Life is great. Dog is great.
New puppy, right?
We got a puppy in October.
Okay.
Bonnie. She's wonderful. She's a big dog now. But yeah, that's why I have not. I've had to limit my focus on some things, and board games took the hit because of all the crazy health stuff going on.
We're obviously really happy that was just a scare, even though it was a major hassle and it was very scary for that time. Like, the good news is you're A-okay.
Totally.
So we're happy about that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I have, I'm missing an eye. You guys are nice to not bring that up. I lost my foot. I have no hair.
He had gangrene while this happened.
Yeah. I'm actually a robot brain in a jar, but this AI voice system is incredible.
It's doing great
Sounds
work.
very good. That's why it's so good that you recorded all those podcasts. That's what they used as a sample.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
synthesize your voice.
I died, and this is actually like a full AI Matt Robinson, but I made sure it was ready to go.
It's just been really hard getting hosts on the show. So we just
Ben, can you
leaned
actually
on
fix
Claude
the
AI.
code on the AI Matt? I don't think he's supposed to mention that he's AI.
Oh, shoot.
Actually, this entire podcast has always been AI. We're just entities that someone typed in.
That's right. We're gonna give Matt a digital smack on the nose. How do you train AI not to do things? Digital smack on the nose.
You don't. But yeah, so that's why I have not been the most active board gaming podcaster and or board gamer for a while. But I still have a game brain, and that never goes away. So, I was playing quite a bit of solo games during my recovery. I went back into the world of chip theory games because Elder Scrolls, Betrayal of the Second Era,
I think.
That's the new chip theory game that came out, and it came out in the peak of my recovery when I was stuck in a bed for a couple weeks and couldn't do anything, and I ended up learning all those rules and then setting it up on my kitchen table and playing it quite a bit. And that got me through my game jonesing while I couldn't be with other people.
Yeah, I think I said, I picked this up at Geeky Teas. They had copies there, and you had bought it the next day.
Yeah,
or something like that.
I'm a big chip theory game guy, and when I saw that it was sort of Too Many Bones is like their big game, that's sort of their cooperative, mainly played solo, dungeon crawler-esque kind of game. And I have everything for that, like the treasure trove, whatever it's called. I love that game. It was one of the first big expensive games I ever got, like 10 years ago. Like when it first came out, I was like all in on it. But I was annoyed when they were like, it's 2.0. Don't do that to me. Don't 2.0 me when I own so much stuff.
Meaning, wait, that there was
it was the system, but better.
Oh, Elder Scrolls. Is Too Many Bones.
It's like people were saying it's Too Many Bones 2.0. And it uses.
Would you say it was maybe too many bones?
Too many points. It uses probably 90% of the system and then adds its own little spin on things. But it was different enough, and I really needed distraction at the time, so I was just like, I'm going all in. And honestly, it is quite different, and it's much longer and harder, I think, to get to the table than Too Many Bones, but it's really cool too.
I love it. So I also got this game, and I also have the Trove chest. And this is maybe a little embarrassing, but when the Trove chest arrived, I organized everything, which took days, and then I never opened it again.
Do you know how many people probably have that exact experience? That's my thing. I always feel upset when I buy a new insert when I'm so excited to play a game, because I feel like when I buy an insert for a game, it means I'm never going to play it again.
Right,
Somehow, the minute I get it all organized and perfect and like ready to hit the table, for some reason, it sits there for 2 years.
I have the opposite thing where a lot of times I'll buy an insert and then it just stays in its little box because I'm like, I'll build that a little bit later. And then I wind up like pulling out the game and being like, damn it, why didn't I construct this insert?
That's a way better problem to have, though. You're playing the game that you wanted the
I still have my
insert for.
Imperial Steam insert that's not assembled. I have many things that are not assembled.
That's funny.
I bought an insert just about 30 minutes ago while we were playing the game.
Right.
We can talk about that
I will
later.
say the Trove Chest, as like a closing remark on that, makes that game, there's so much content, it's so hard to take that content out of the box and play it. And that's why I'm really enjoying Elder Scrolls, because it's way easier for me just to put it on the table and to decide what I'm going to do with it.
Totally.
I feel like something that we should really give more credit to retroactively 2 or 3 years later is that when Carnegie arrived, it was already organized and ready for us. No need for an insert, no need to even punch anything. It was just like, here, just play your game. And I know that's a privilege, and I think maybe some of that was because it was a Kickstarter and everything, but maybe that's the next tier of deluxification is not the bits. It's like, we did it for you.
Well, a lot of the big ones do. I mean, all
They do have
VTOL's games
organizers,
do.
Yeah.
You know, all the
They
Eagle
have punch
Griffin.
boards, though. Like the VTOL games.
but maybe
have
it's
punch
more
boards.
like, you know what
No, but I mean, like, but once you, I mean, they're not going
Ben's
to
like,
punch
no
it out
punch
for you.
boards.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I mean, it's okay. Punch boards are fine, but it's more like like when you have sometimes building that organizer.
Well, those are garbage.
I have like a vicious memory of like 2016, and I had bought an organizer for Terraforming Mars, and it was one of those like wooden ones where you have to like sit there and like really push things, like cut things out, and they're rough. And I did it on my glass table, and like there was like sandpaper, sand that scratched up all the glass. I'll never do that on a glass.
Wow.
I had put down like protective like cardboard and everything, but there was sand underneath the cardboard between the glass, so I destroyed my table. And I put this thing that it took hours, and then ultimately I wound up getting the Terraforming Mars Big Box, which, by the way,
More like terraforming your table.
by the way, here's a great example. Bought the Terraforming Mars Big Box and have not played the game in person since then.
Well,
what,
Jordan's
2 or 3
not going
years
to help
ago?
you with that, but I
No, I do not like Terraforming
I will
Mars.
play it. Like I love Terraforming Mars. Also,
love Terraforming Mars.
what you might see down here, the most egregious example, all the way right below me. For some reason, it's under my desk today. Suburbia Deluxe.
I see it. Yeah, that's a big old box.
I backed this in 2018 or so because I like base game Suburbia,
it's
and
fun.
I was like, all I wanted base game Suburbia was better art to be more immersive. And they said they were coming out with it, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I have to back this thing. And it's this big old Suburbia thing. I mean, I like Suburbia. I don't like love Suburbia. And it's this whole organizer. Never touched it. Never touched it in 7
Not
years.
funny. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? Well, and then also Jordan and I, we started a miniature podcast back in November, I think it was, called Sprued Up. The reason there has not been a second episode of that is also because I've just been out of commission for a bit. But I have a few.
Wait, you guys never did a second episode? I thought you guys did 2.
I thought we did too.
Did we do 2?
think
Okay,
we
we
did
did 2. We did 2. We have not done another one. It's been 6 months since we've done one. But anyway, I have a bunch of Kill Team games scheduled for next week, and hopefully, I know you've been playing a lot of Shatterpoint.
Still playing Shatterpoint, so we should talk about it more. We have a new
we'll
theme
jump back
song.
in.
We'll tease it
We
here.
have a new theme song that our dear
Sprued Up
friend
theme
Drew
song?
Conley
Sprued
made
Up theme
for
song.
us.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll get all back
Is
into
it a
that.
takeoff of Usher's song, All Caught Up? Be like, all sprued up?
Yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly what it was. That's my favorite Usher song. Anyway, that's me caught up. That's why you haven't heard from me in a bit. I've been on the Discord, but yes, if you have not heard my voice, I'm here, and I'll be back more often now.
I'm super psyched that you're back. Aside from the fact that I'm obviously really happy for your health, I'm also happy that you'll be gaming with us more. You'll be on the podcast more. Yeah. And I mean, the podcast in general has been hard to get up and running consistently because those of us who have the recording equipment, aka you and me, have been very, very busy. And so, if neither of us
traveling a lot, even without my illness thing, like I was in London for 2 months, then I was in South Africa last year for 6 weeks. And
so it's hard to get it going, but I'm glad that you're back. Most importantly, I'm just glad that you're healthy and fine. And I just wish Jordan had a great story to offer up as well.
Young.
But
he has no problem.
I'm sorry. I have a new puppy. I might have already mentioned that on the podcast.
Matt has a new puppy too, so
We
we kind of
Our
lost out
puppies
on that
met,
one.
and
Our
they
puppies
played.
became best friends.
They were
last
very
week.
cute playing together. Yeah.
That's nice. Well, let's talk about some game plays because actually today we're not. Sorry, I just stepped into hosting mode, but you're actually the host. But today we are going to be just talking about sessions and not reviews.
Yeah, we're just going to talk about the plays we've had recently. We recently got together and had a nice game day where we got to play a whole bunch of plays and played some new games in, get some old games in. That was really fun. And Jordan and I, along with Paul and Trey, other hosts of the podcast, started a RPG, TTRPG, if you will, tabletop role-playing game together. Jordan originally brought us, he said he was getting into TTRPGs and he wanted to not only play his first, but also GM or DM his first. And so we said, that sounds like a disaster. Let's do it.
Yeah. And I appreciate you guys saying that.
You wanted to try a game called Heart. Why don't you just give us 10 seconds on Heart?
Yeah. Heart is a game from Rowan, Rook, and Deckard. There's a very good review on Quinn's Quest, which is a YouTube channel reviewing TTRPGs that helped me get into TTRPGs. And the general idea is that you are going down into a cave that wants to give you whatever you want, but it doesn't really understand what you want, and it will kill you trying if it can't make you happy.
I feel like there's a joke in there, but I'm not going to make it.
Okay.
So it's called Heart.
That's the game that we were originally going to play.
And it's not about two sisters who have a rock band.
It is not, no.
And
I would have played it. I would have played an Ann Wilson RPG.
It's a very grim, dark world.
Darkest Dungeon is the
very
closest
similar to
analog.
Darkest Dungeon, which is genuinely like a top 3 game of all time for me, video game.
So I spent weeks slaving over my outline, getting ready to play Heart.
For a while. So
and
what
I
happened?
show up on the day,
Yeah.
but I also brought another RPG to show the crew. And they said, let's play that one instead.
Yeah.
And that was Daggerheart.
Oh no!
So Heart was it's very
I was wondering what
it's
happened.
very narrative focused, and we are a group of people who probably connect more with mechanisms and combat systems than we do with just sitting and improvising stories together.
Right. So
Heart's cool. No disparaging of Heart, but when we saw the cover of Daggerheart and when we realized it was a lot more mechanic focused, but also a lot more narrative driven than D&D, it was almost like a really nice combination of narrative and mechanics, and it also was less of a depressing.
Certainly less depressing. And it's also really the hotness. It's brand new.
Yeah.
It just released like a month or two ago, Daggerheart.
This is from the Critical Role. This is their attempt at replacing D&D.
And Darrington Press, yeah.
Oh, I gotta ask. I gotta text my friend who works over there to see.
Yeah, no, this is they've even got some of the big designers and writers from Dungeons and Dragons.
They hired 2 of the biggest D&D writers 2 months after they said they were retiring from D&D.
Right,
like
and
joined
they came in and are now.
Press.
And it's like sold out everywhere and hard to get, and it's a really cool system.
It's really cool.
Tell us about it, Jordan.
It's okay. The mechanics of it are very simple. When you're rolling to succeed on a check of any kind, you roll 2d12. One is a hope die and one's a fear die.
The duality
dice. And if your hope die is higher than your fear die, you get a hope, which is a currency you can spend on various abilities. And if your fear die is higher than your hope die, the GM gets a fear, which they can spend on various abilities to hurt you.
It's like a resource. There's a little bit of a resource management thing going on.
Right, exactly. And if they match, you roll a crit, which is exciting. Yeah. It's a really fun system. The way the book is set up is very cool because there are these campaign frames. There are 5 of them, and they're almost like entire settings that you can play in.
Yeah, like there's literally a sci-fi one. There's one that's very similar to Elden Ring. There's like a Game of Thrones one.
There's one that is Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
But the one we're playing in is called Beast Feast, which is a delicious in dungeon meshy type setting.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cooking mashup with like a dungeon dive.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Dungeon
you're
dive and
diving
cooking.
deep into this cave, but you have to keep finding ingredients and making new meals and using those meals to heal. And also like the quests all certain around like delivering food to people and stuff. And,
yeah, it's really cute. It's very fun. I think we've played 2 sessions plus a session 0 so far. It's been an interesting game to tell 2 stories from it. Immediately on character creation, Matt decided that his character would have a moral objection to killing and eating things. So that's sort of to killing and eating like animals.
Well, I'm a tiny little monkey. I'm a spider monkey. I'm like a foot and a half tall. Adorable. I'm a ranger. And I'm incredible with a bow.
Yeah. But you have a cute little bird fox.
I have a bird. I have a half bird, half fox. who's my companion. And
how big is the half bird, half fox? I mean, is it on your shoulder?
yeah, like the size of a fox.
Yeah.
On a small monkey shoulder.
Well, he doesn't really. He sort of flies.
Strong monkey.
okay.
Strong
Just
monkey.
like-
And he
I'm very
flies.
strong.
Yeah.
What?
But you have a moral objection to killing.
Well, I am one with the forest. I'm
So
I'm very
basically, everyone's
peaceful.
like, "Well, he's great and everything," but like, "Oh my
Well,
god!"
but I
he's on the
hate-
soapbox.
But
I hate
he hates creatures
and monsters
Creatures
because
and
my
monsters.
father was killed by a thrall.
But at the same time, you're also morally objected to killing things.
No.
No,
Wait,
just
what?
animals.
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 but
Animals
not
are not
creatures.
creatures.
Right,
Well,
animals are not creatures.
I'm
right.
almost like racist towards monsters because
Right.
I'm like I don't think they're
that's
natural
deserved.
and I think they should die.
I think that's
which-
fair.
which
I
led
think
to-
that's an earned like racism.
But like if it like if I deem it to be an animal or like a natural
so
creature.
this is where this
Yeah.
is where it's like, oh, like your sanctimonious line is like,
Yeah.
oh,
Right.
like, I can get away with being awful, hideous to this adorable little gerbil because I think it's a monster. I've declared it a monster. That's
Right.
Wow.
So we had a very
insufferable.
fun discussion when a giant rat appeared, and we're like, "Is that a creature or is that an animal?"
like a mutant rat.
know? Yeah,
And I was
mutant
like, animal.
Animal, right?
We
And they chatted with it.
we were like, and I can speak to every
Yeah,
animal.
you can speak
That's
to
fun.
animals.
Yeah. It's super
it's
fun.
really fun. And the other,
there's enough mechanics in there where I wouldn't say it's D&D light, but it's kind of D&D light.
I think I'm not sure if it's that much lighter. I don't know. I mean, I've never played D&D.
No,
but
it's definitely lighter. Yeah,
okay.
but they also picked and chose from all like they did a little buffet, a little Build-A-Bear of all the like really great new systems that have been created in the last 10, 15 years that a lot of people have been messing with. Like some really cool, they've taken a lot of cool ideas from the indie TTRPG scene, which I actually am a person who like buys a lot of RPG books because I enjoy reading them. Like I always want to know how the systems work.
Yeah.
I rarely play them, but they're fun to read.
Right.
And they always have incredible art and like they're just like cool things to read before you go to bed as a PDF.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to go down that road, so it's been fun.
I have to say, Jordan invited me to be part of it, and I didn't join. Mainly, I'm not opposed to these things, but I'm sort of the mindset, like right now, of like there's only a few number of slots per week to game, and actually, I'm just gonna say just for my hobbies because I'm in my hobby era right now, where if I'm not gaming, I'm attempting to either sew or to cook or write my food newsletter or to do a table scraps thing. Like I'm always trying to like do something, and so I just don't think I can take on an RPG campaign. But it sounds really fun, and would it be surprising if I told you that I too played an RPG just last night?
You did.
I
would be
played
surprising.
Fiasco last
Oh, that's
night
right.
for the first
Okay.
time in a few years. So
What's Fiasco for people who might not?
Fiasco is like a DM.
Either way.
Either one's fine.
Either way, GM-less RPG where basically you assemble a group of you and your friends are going to kind of like act out a movie in a sense, and you get a play set that's going to give you sort of parameters of everyone's relationships with each other. So I recruited 4 friends because we recently did a murder mystery dinner party last weekend. It was my first murder mystery party, which feels kind of like role-playing adjacent, right?
yeah.
And it was so fun. We all had so much fun. But most importantly, I saw that my friends had this capacity to want to play like that. And so I proposed Fiasco, and lo and behold, 4 of my friends who I would never even think would be into it decided to do it, and we played it. And we played the play set Regina's Wedding, which I've actually played before many years ago. And I actually don't think it's a great play set. It's sort of actually is a little too specific. I think I find with Fiasco when the play sets are a little more open-ended, you can play around with it a little bit more. But we had a great time, and just talking about Matt, you and your character, and then all the fun we had with character creation last night. It really is so fun to see all these things come together. Of course, our session went completely off the rails, and like this wedding went crazy. I was a TV actor who was marrying an influencer, but I was secretly in love with someone named Duncan, who Duncan and I were like we're an improv troupe together back in the day, but I made it big, and Duncan is like still in love with me, and then there was an inheritance, and then there was a bison stampede, and it was like it went all crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
But so fun.
Fiasco's
These games
great.
are really very, very fun.
Yeah, they're super fun.
It'd be fun to do one with you at some point. I'm
Yeah,
would love
and
to do-
we're
I
trying
wanna
to
do
keep
more
them relatively
Fiasco.
short. We're trying to do like eight session long campaigns.
Yeah, we're not just doing an ongoing forever campaign.
Right, which makes it feel
I feel like an 8-session
completable.
one. I could probably. I think I could. like if I could probably do it if we had like a structure to it of like this is like the time when we do it.
Yeah.
You know,
like every week or every other week for a month or two.
Yeah, I might be able to.
Yeah.
But
That's
fun.
a cool system. If you're into RPGs at all, you should definitely take a read of Daggerheart core book. It's cool.
Yeah. And keep an eye out because I think the content is going to be coming fast for Daggerheart.
It's a massive hit. I mean, it's the only one that I think is actually going to like go up against D&D. Like, and it
Really?
could totally like, it could be a real threat to it.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they're hiring the writers. They have a lot of success. A lot of it's anyways, there's some interesting Critical Role stuff going on behind the scenes. It's really cool. It's a really cool game. So check it out. Yeah.
Very cool. I'm glad you guys got to play that.
So we're just going to talk about play. Should we just go around the horn? How about we just take turns? I'll just go over a list of things we played. I'm going to start us off here with a negative game that we played.
Oh, I've been waiting to talk about this.
This was my most anticipated game of the year I think. This is from what I would probably describe as my favorite designer, I think, is Daniel Tascini. Really? Yeah, if I was really pressed to like pick my favorite Euro designer, I mean, obviously Uwe Rosenberg is like my guy, but like, I don't know, Daniel has like more games that I've really loved. Like, I just think he's brilliant. Daniel has designed Zolkin and Teotihuacan and Marco Polo and Toledum, which we just played the expansion of, which was brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
And Tekenyu and Trismegistus and Tabanusi and so many games. His newest game couldn't have had me more excited because this is a person who is not, I would say, theme forward in most of his games, except Trismegistus, which is wild. And this was their attempt at doing a really cool science fiction theme with some really cool, like throwback 70s sort of Mobius style art.
Loved
really
the art.
beautiful and wild.
Absolutely loved it.
The early reviews were good. It's really heavy. It's like a 3.67. I'm just in. It's,
100%.
Dice and all my things and tracks.
And you do something and then people can follow.
Oh, wait, sorry. No dice. This is tracks. What am I thinking?
like dice.
Yes, no dice. No, it's tracks on tracks on tracks on tracks. It's almost
situation.
like I'm like one of the only people in the world who likes tapestry in our group, not in the world, obviously. And this is sort of a heavy Euro version of tapestry, which I was very excited about. Mm-hmm. Long story short, it's a flaming pile of crap.
Wait, no,
okay,
I don't think it's on
mostly
fire.
being silly.
I don't think the crap is on fire. But you say what you say, and I'll chime in.
I have never had an experience where I'm the most forgiving person when it comes to creations of others. As a creator, as someone who my entire life is artistic endeavors that are that have a high level of difficulty and take a lot of people, and there are so many mistakes that can be made along the way. I am very forgiving, and often am willing to see beyond way more sharp edges than others to find the gem within. And it's very rare that I play a game that I genuinely, at the end of it, feel this should not have been released in the state that it's in. The rule book has so many issues, and I've wrestled with them all. Like, I'm fine wrestling with a rule book. I don't mind if I have to watch a video 3 times, read your rule book twice, and spend 2 hours going through the rules forms on BGG. Most people would go, "That's absurd." I do it all the time. I'm fine with it. I enjoy learning games. I'll do it. This one was so frustrating because there was a dozen cards in the game that were just wildly open to interpretation.
And tokens, bonus tokens.
Icons that just contradicted other icons. The graphic design is just needed more work. It's just not done. It's not ready for the public. And beyond that, when you would ask rule questions in the forums, you would get
conflicting advice
from the publisher and the designer. And they even clearly did not agree on what these icons. It was such a frustrating playthrough because we hit a point where it was genuinely like, we can't keep going. I don't actually know if we're playing this correctly. And I'm going to say there are a few people in this world, I think, who are better at grokking a game and understanding it and putting in the time to get it right. And I hit a wall with this one. I just couldn't do it. Like, it was just, we hit a point where it's like, okay, let's pack it up. I don't want to, we didn't even finish it. But we played 5 hours of it, I think. Like, it was a long game.
You played
There was some cool stuff going on, but it was just, I can't even really talk about what it is or what I like about it because it was like the only time I've ever been like, this feels like the kind of situation where it'd be okay to ask for a refund.
I would actually support you on asking for a refund. I actually was really enjoying the game for like the first half. Of course, I cheated because there was ambiguity with icons and everything. But still, I do actually think the game itself, like the mechanisms and how they all work and everything, is actually super cool. Like, there's a really good game in there. But it started to become more and more apparent that the rule book and the iconography was undermining what really could have been like a wonderful Euro. And at first I was like, oh God, they're just being dramatic. They're like, they're like, because people, started to hear some early grumbles. Like, what does this even mean? I don't even know what this means. And I was like, okay, here we go. But I was like, okay, whatever, play the game. It'll be fun. But it became at a certain point, it was like, oh yeah, everything is really messed up, because I was doing great. But then I sort of had this moment of like, I'm doing great because I thought I could flog this power and I could only do it once a turn. And it turns out I was totally broken. And you sort of realize like, what am I doing here? So I actually do think in a weird way you are allowed. I would not think it's crazy to ask for a refund for a game that was published and is totally unplayable. It's like getting a car that's a lemon. Obviously you're not going to, but like it's one of my frustrations is when a rule book is really, really terrible. And I don't.
It wasn't. Yeah,
but it's not. The
it wasn't
rules.
just
That's
the rule book.
right?
It was like
art.
This is not the situation where they can release a new version of the rule book and it's fixed. It's the iconography that's constant throughout the game. That's inconsistent. That's the hard part.
The rule book would need to have an inventory of every single tile. It would need to be a rule book,
and then they would have to give you a whole bunch of stickers to put on your board and on different.
And you already did a lot of
on,
stickers to make
oh my
it,
God,
right?
And it also came with like 5,000 stickers you had to put on.
It's a shame. It needs to be.
It's a mess, and I'm not the kind of person who likes to say that. Like I'm like I
actually love to talk. I'm a very big proponent of shaming bad rule books and bad iconography, because I think that's actually one of the most easily fixable things. Like, that's the thing where like you just can look at it and say, does this make sense? Can you, like, gameplay, if something is balanced, that's very tricky and very hard. And it's like if someone it's like, oh, they tried to play test it, they did the best that they could.
Yeah.
But like when something like a rule book, like
it's surprising too, though, because it's from Devere, which is like one of the biggest and most respected board game publishers right now. I mean, they did White Castle that we loved.
Matcha.
They've done so
Red
many
Cathedral,
great things. Yeah, they're like pretty awesome.
But
they've also done some, like they did Bitoku, right?
I know they've done some
they
stuff
did.
I
think Arboreum.
But this felt like not your 10th game. This felt like their first game. It
felt like someone was like asleep at the wheel in terms of the oversight, to be honest. And so, like. The again, I thought the art was amazing. I think the general gameplay is really
well. It has a really cool worker placement follow mechanic, which is neat. Where you have your big workers and your little workers, like your grandes and your minis. You put out your grande, and then everybody is allowed, if they have their mini workers left, to place them as a follow for a weakened version of your action. And that's nothing groundbreaking, but it's cool and it works well, and it leads to some cool decisions. But like, once you start really looking at all the different tokens, you're just like, you're just like, I don't know what they want from me here. Like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
It is a really cool system, I will say. And I hope that they can salvage it.
That's part of me is the reason I'm not going to give it away, is because I just don't know if it was big enough for them to even just, at this point, I just feel like they're going to go, meh.
I mean, maybe they'll, so I have Zoo Tycoon. I have these such weird games that I've accumulated. Zoo Tycoon is a really, really cool game. And it has one of the very, very, very worst rule books I've ever had, where like there are sometimes a bad rule book will destroy a game, because if you have to always step away from the game and try to look something up and you can't figure it out, then you got to go online and you're ruining the flow, and everyone who's playing the game, the buy-in just goes away. Mm-hmm. But they just released an expansion and they just totally updated and made a new rule book, reorganized it.
It's exciting when that happens.
I love when publishers do that. They're like, okay, here's a new resource for you. And I do hope that happens with this game, because I think this is a good enough game that, like, if the trappings were improved, then it would really kind of, I think, flourish.
Yeah, I wonder what it would take. It would be a new rule book and maybe 2 or 3 punch boards with like fresh components.
Or stickers. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, don't know. That would be nice. Yeah, a little.
Should we go around the horn, Jordan?
Oh, sure. I have recently played a game called Manifest Destiny. No, Core of Discovery Manifest Destiny.
Core of Discovery.
Which Matt actually showed me.
I was the one who got you up on
and I
that.
immediately ordered it. It is I'm not a solo game player most of the time. No. If it's solo games, I'll usually just play video games. I've played this game, I don't know, 15 times. I love it so much.
It's the discovery of the year for me, for sure.
So the way Core of Discovery works is it's Minesweeper. It is a Minesweeper-like game. You're going to have a 7x7 grid that has on it, each of the points in that grid will have a symbol on it, but all of the symbols will start covered by these sort of ground tiles, and you'll be told you'll start at one position on this grid, and on your turn, all you do is reveal another position on the grid. Maybe you'll find a mushroom.
It's literally Minesweeper, where you're just picking a random square, flipping it over, and seeing what's there.
Right. Or maybe you'll find a minotaur or something more dangerous. And so every scenario has its own unique goal. It has its own unique hazards. It's a resource management game. Water is kind of like your health, and various things will cost you water. There is a whole challenge system where every time you flip a token, every time you go to a new space, that token goes on a little track. And, every 2 or 3 or 4 of those, you're going to have an event that happens. There's a mudslide, or, bees attack you or whatever. And you'll know what those events are in advance, so you can plan for them. And there are certain rewards for completing them well and certain punishments if you fail to. And then once you've gone through 3 of those challenges, the day ends. Your tribe has to eat. And
it's so it is, I would describe it, I think the way to describe it is this is Minesweeper and Sudoku if it was a survival horror game.
Which I always felt they should be.
Always.
That's a very good description. Yeah. The meat of the gameplay is that there are logic rules that determine what can be next to what. So as you're revealing the board, you're thinking.
So it's like, example, if there is in every column, there is only one token, every column and row, there's only one token that is wood, but there's definitely a wood in every token, every row and column. So now you're like, all right, I found a wood. It's exactly Sudoku, where you're just like, well, this can't be a 2 because then this would have to be a 3. And if this is a 4, it's just full deduction, where there's all these little symbols have these rules of next to every stone, there is going to be a berry. Okay, so one of these 2 spaces I know. And you can start putting question marks really up. Fun. So he's saying this could either be a wood or a berry. And I need to get some more information before I know what it is. But then you have to feed your family and fight monsters too.
Right. It's a lot to manage. It's really quite fun.
It's so cool.
And there's 6 scenarios in this box, and they all play very differently. In one of them, you need to assemble weapons to kill minotaurs, and you need to avoid the minotaurs while you do. But in another one, you need to find specific types of terrain in a specific sequence, which is its own unique challenge, and it plays really differently.
And there's 10 different characters you can play that all have rule-breaking powers and things they can do.
And
so
you got items as well. And I'll say,
so much replayability.
We've played it solo. I've played it mostly solo, but I played a few games 2-player. And with a lot of solo games, playing it 2-player feels like, okay, we're just dividing the powers in half, right? And we're going to work together to figure this out.
I always feel like every co-op is just a solo game.
Sure. But in this case, there's a very interesting component, which is timing. Because you have your own items and character, which are you have a set of 3 powers, basically. And you can only use them on your turn. And the timing of that becomes very important, especially on, most days we'll only have around 9 turns. And it's okay, someone needs to do this at some point during the day, but these conditions have to be appropriate for that power to trigger. How are we going to work together and sequence together to make sure that we can do that on one of your turns because you have that power? And so that's really fun. Yep. And I think at the top player counts, because it goes up to 4, one of the scenarios, which I haven't touched at all, has a hidden traitor.
Yeah.
It's how does that even work? I don't even know. That's really cool, though.
In a solo game.
In a Sudoku
Right, exactly.
game.
In a Sudoku solo game.
Yeah. That's wild.
I know, right? It's crazy. So anyways, I'm having a blast with it. Definitely one of the best purchases this year.
I think one of my favorite things in our hobby is when something comes down in front of me and I learn it, and I've never played a game like this before. I just get such a thrill from that discovery of oh, this is a completely new genre in our hobby.
That's so exciting.
I know. It's I love Sudoku. That's my jam. I do a lot of little puzzles like that. And the way how they brought that into our kind of, heavy-ish board game world is kind of brilliant and ingenious. I will say, if you're interested in it, you can get the base game in retail for very reasonable, $40. And it comes with one scenario, two scenarios, and 10 maps each, I think.
10 maps each.
Unless you have a photographic memory, these maps are replayable. You probably think once I played it once, but you can randomize them so you don't know which one you're playing. And unless you've memorized them. But They still have available if you want to buy the Ultimate Edition on their websites. We are not sponsored by them. I'm not trying to make a penny off of it. But the Ultimate Edition has like all the expansions packed in and 100 different maps. And honestly, I feel like it's a really good value. It's $136. It's still available on their website. I'm not telling you to go buy it. But if what we described sounds awesome to you, watch a playthrough. There's a lot of really great solo playthroughs online. Again, there's 100 maps. You're not spoiling it by watching one of them. You won't even know which one it is. And if you like it, I kind of highly recommend you get the Ultimate Edition. Yeah, and also it's a beautiful insert and the components are incredible.
The board you use to play, which I don't think is the same in the basic version, is this like wooden sheet that you slide paper into that has the map on it.
It looks like it
feels so nice. Yeah, it feels great. And I will say, if you're looking for an online playthrough of this game on YouTube, you can find mine, which is on Optimal Play, the Optimal Play YouTube channel.
Optimal Play, shout out.
Guards of Atlantis.
It is based
whatever you want.
on a graphic novel called Manifest Destiny that is a very anti-colonialist manifest. It's not a pro Manifest Destiny.
Right.
The title Manifest Destiny makes you think like, ew, if you know anything about American history. But it is very much the cartoon is very the graphic novel is, I would say, if anything, sort of not poking fun, but satirizing the concept of Manifest Destiny.
And we should say in the game you do play as Lewis and Clark and Sacagawea.
But you're also
Minotaurs
fighting Sasquatches,
right?
Chupacabras and things like that,
cryptids and such.
Exactly.
Wow.
So
okay, cool.
Big recommend for me.
Yeah, super great game.
Very nice. Hit us with a game. Round the horn.
I gotta talk about the game I'm really most excited about these days, which is Oranges and Lemons.
You are the king of going back 2 years and finding the one game from that year that nobody talked about.
I've been on a little bit of a purchasing obscure games kick over the past 2 months. I recently purchased Oranges and Lemons. I purchased Cargo Empire, which I think I talked about in the last episode. Yeah. And I purchased the 5-player expansion for it, and I opened it up, and it had no wooden pieces in it. And I thought, oh, this is exciting.
What is this, a Daniele Tascini game?
I know, seriously. I was like, okay, I don't know how the 5th player can do this. So I've already written off a swift email asking for pieces replacement. I also recently got Shinjuku, which is a much hyped game that's very difficult to get. It's like a Japanese game. I'm sure it'll eventually get some sort of distribution, but people are very excited about that. It's like a Subway game in Japan. But one of the obscure games I got is Oranges and Lemons, which I don't remember if I mentioned this on the podcast.
How did you even find out this exists?
Well, that's a great question.
Thank you.
So I received an email from Board Game Bliss, which is a board game purveyor up in Canada. Yep. And it's a new releases, new releases sale, whatever it was, one of their newsletters. I was like, let me see what they have. And I was looking at the titles, and there was something called Oranges and Lemons, and it had this real old-timey picture book look, sort of like Chwa, one of those games, like old-timey London. And I was like, that's kind of like that's like my clickbait. I'm like, wait a second. Is this a stodgy game with staid art? Let me see what's going on here. So I clicked through just because it was also called Oranges and Lemons, and I saw it was sold out. I was like, what? This like old school looking game is sold out. What's the deal with it? So then I went to BGG. I did my research, and I watched some of the heavy cardboard playthrough, and they all were very positive about it.
Yeah,
actually very positive. And then I did some research, and people were like, "This game is a hidden gem. It's so good." Blah 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 blah. And when I looked at how it plays, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is a Ben game through and through." So the gist of it is that it's just a full on classic, clean worker placement.
True worker placement. I go there, you can't go there.
Yeah. And it's like when worker placement works is just like doing its thing and doing its thing well, it can really be sublime. I think that we kind of forget that. And there's a lot of bells and whistles with worker placement these days. Like you go there, but then this happens. Blah, blah, blah. This is just like, you're just going to go there and you're going to get something.
Yep.
And the gist is that everyone who is playing the game, all the players, all their meeples are put in this queue that's sort of like winding around a cathedral. And in order to do the worker placement, whoever's at the front of the queue, you place your meeple in one of 16 action spots. And they're all numbered. And everyone puts all their meeples down first. You don't resolve anything. Sometimes you have to pay to take a spot, etc. And then once all the meeples are out, then we resolve action spots 1 through 16 in numerical order. And as you resolve them, the meeples go back into the queue in the order that you resolve them. So, of course, the actions that are later, like actions number 14, 15, 16, are going to be probably stronger than action number 1. So you're going to go for those later ones, but then you'll be in the back of the queue. So it's a lot of turn ordery stuff. It's awesome.
So the designer is Richard Denning, who has designed a lot of games that I've never heard of.
I've heard of one of his games.
The Great Fire of London?
Yes, I've heard of that. I've never known anyone to play it, but it's one I've heard for a long time, and I think it's actually well regarded.
I mean, how did this, why didn't this game take off more?
I think it was a small Kickstarter.
Okay.
And quite frankly, I know I've been kind of bitching and moaning about this a lot, but I don't think these games are having a moment right now. Like these sort of games are just not traditional,
not flashy,
just
solid mechanics. Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, they're just not what's cool.
Yeah,
and but
thank God you're here, Ben.
the champion of uncool
is the publisher. Also,
games.
never heard of it. I think this is just maybe the designer's publishing company.
It's just a clean game, and it's fun. And in fact, there was actually something so refreshing about playing like a very straightforward worker placement game just done right.
Yeah.
When I think of like great worker placement games or more modern ones, not even more modern. Like I love Crisis as a worker placement game. I think that's a wonderful worker placement game. Obviously, you got the classics like Agricola, etc. But this one just hit right.
Yeah.
And
there's nothing to be better than good worker placement.
It was pure fun. I played it at 3 players, and then I played it at 5 players.
It goes to 5 without an expansion, huh?
And it was honestly great at 5. It was great, like because you really at 5 players, a lot of those spots get taken up. I mean, the board scales down for 3. Sure. But it just feels more intense at 5, and so you really are considering which action spaces to take because you are like thinking, I need to have good turn order. There's also this really cool
the art too. It's beautiful.
Art is fun, and then there's this really cool element where you can buy bells. And you put a bell on each. You can attach a bell to a worker placement spot, and if you go and take that spot, you get the bell will give you a benefit. But there are different tiers of bells. There's small, medium, and large. So someone can take a medium bell and bump your small bell off of that. You have to put your small bell somewhere else. So like there's also
big bells.
Yeah, you gotta like this bell management. You gotta really put your hands on those bells and make sure that they're like just cup them and make sure they're in the right place at the right time.
Don't let them drop too far. And
it
looks great. I have not tried it. You played it the other day at a nearby table, and I got to see it and stand over it a little bit. It is a table hog, which is awesome because it's big and sprawling and looks heavy and everything you want out of a Euro. I really recommend that anybody who likes heavy Euros or just worker placement, good old fashioned Euros, take a look at this because it was one of those. I'm like, what? This seems wild that I'd never even heard of it.
It was just, it was like it
didn't exist.
It was like very joy forward for me. Yeah. Like what's cool is you can do all these different things with these worker placement spots, and each thing that you do feels like it can open up a new strategy. But it felt also very interactive. Like I was paying attention to what people were doing, and I think the best worker placement games give you that sense that if I have choices X, Y, and Z in front of me, and if I do X, I'm giving up 2 very important things. And like, am I equipped to do that? And I love when games give you that feeling of like, where it's like when you are really having dilemmas about where to go, that usually means that then you have to start looking around what other people are doing. Cause then you'll say like, what are my chances that I could reasonably get away with doing X and I can do Y. So I've got to see what everyone else's board states are. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on in the game. So
I would like to
recommend it.
Yeah, I want to try it.
I recommend it so highly. I just really loved it. I just had the best time. I'm so into it right now.
Yeah, I feel like the last time you recommended one of these slightly more obscure Euro games was Legacies, right?
Yeah, and I still want to have
Transcontinental.
Transcontinental was on Kickstarter when you recommended it, though.
Yeah, Legacy
is slightly older.
And Candace is the one who recommended Legacy to me. I still want to have like a proper...
this compares? Oh,
this is much better than Legacy.
Okay.
I still want to have a proper Legacy section. The last time we were having one. I got food poisoning in the middle of it and had to kick everyone out.
Right.
And I was so bummed. And then we had one at your place, Matt, where then that was also a late start. Like Legacies that's another game, by the way, with not a great rule book. And I think it actually gets in the way of that game because that game has some really cool stuff. But and I think you observed correctly, like on one of the podcasts, like not sure if it's just chaotic or if there's something cool going on. But I would love to do more.
It's really interesting. Yeah. Okay, I want to try Oranges and Lemons.
Yeah, loved it. Loved it.
Yeah. Back to me.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I want you to go to Amazon.com right now if you're in America. I'm about to say a game, not you guys.
Click.
I'm doing it.
Our listeners. And when I want you to buy this game. I don't do this often. Okay? But I'm telling you right now, if you have a partner that you play games with and you like 2-player games and you like games that play in 15 minutes, type these 2 words into your Amazon thing. It's $30. Just hit buy now before I even continue. Are you ready? Go. The game is called Toy Battle. This is my favorite game of the year so far. I cannot recommend this game more. I have not been this enamored. First of all, I don't go looking for 2-player games. I just don't. I rarely play them. When am I going to have time for a 2-player game? Unless it's 15 minutes long. Toy Battle is a 15-minute 2-player game that has more replay value in a $40 box than a $30 box than I think I have ever seen in a game in my life. So let's talk about it. So Toy Battle is designed by 2 designers. One of them is Alessandro Zucchini, great last name. And the other is Paolo Mori, who is a very successful board game designer who has done games such as Ethnos and Fall of Rome and Blitzkrieg and Libertalia and Caesar. Lots of games.
Which is relevant. Caesar's like another 2-player short game, yeah.
Lots of games that we know and love. Very, very cherished designer.
I played Caesar.
Yeah, he's a great designer. And Toy Battle is from Repos and also who else is releasing it? Sorry, ADC Blackfire and Repos. But when I first saw the cover of this, it's like my eyes couldn't even see it, and I just looked at something else because it just looked like a game designed for non-gamers. I don't know how else to say it. It looked like a game that would be in Target for sale for $9.99 that is not very good and is just sort of a box with stuff in it. And then I saw a few people on BGG saying like, well, this game's got a lot of depth. And it just kept coming back into my world. And I realized it was on BGA, Board Game Arena. And you could play it for free. And it was right there. Or even, if you haven't, I don't think it's premium even. I think you can just play it. I might be wrong. And it has a 2-page rule book, which is always fun. I read it in 5 minutes and fired it up and played it on BGA and then played it like 10 more times in a row and was instantly addicted. Bought it, taught it to my son, who's 7 years old, almost 8.
Wow.
And he adored it. And I was like, fun game. And then I kept playing it on BGA, and then I kept playing it in person with people who weren't children. I love playing with my son, but obviously, it's going to be different playing it with a gamer who's older. And the game just kept unfolding for me like an onion. So it's chess-like in the way that each player there has symmetrical armies. And you're taking these pieces and you're putting them on sort of your Scrabble tile holder and you're putting them out on a board. And you are either trying to conquer your opponent's headquarters by getting your pieces in a contiguous line all the way from your base to theirs, or by encircling these areas that have victory points inside of them and then getting victory points. We each have the exact same army. But all the pieces of the army do different things. So I have the same army that you do. Your things do the same thing as mine. But all the pieces, sort of when you place them on the board, do something.
Right. There's 3 copies each of 8 different pieces.
Right. So it's very, in a couple games, you've memorized it. You don't need to look. You now know what, you have 8 different troops. They all do different things. You've completely memorized it by, a couple games in. And the amount of strategic depth in this little game that takes on BGA, I'm telling you, 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long game. Like they're so fast. And within that time, I feel like I've gone on a strategic and tactical journey. I've tried different things. I've learned stuff. And beyond that, there are I think 10 maps that come in the game, and each map has completely different rules. Like there is so much to discover in this game. I feel like you could leave this game with me. I could take it on vacation with people for a month and play it every day and come back and like still be excited about it. Wow. It's got so much depth in it. It's $30. I don't know. It just blew my socks off. I was not looking for a 15-minute 2-player game, but it's like, it's one of those things I'm never going to not have in my backpack. And like, I'm just excited to pull it out all the time. And it's like, I take little breaks from writing and just go play it 5 times in a row on BGA. And like,
you just play with other people,
just random,
hot seat?
Just random people. Yeah.
Wow.
And you know, it's super fun.
Are all the maps on BGA or just
all the maps are on BGA
amazing.
too. I'm totally enamored with this game. I just think it's so fun. It's such a smart design. It's like it's the kind of game you can teach to anybody, non-gamers, in 5 minutes. And then like you're just gonna be like re-rack them. Like every game you're gonna just want to go back and try it again.
I've played this game twice. I find it very fun as well. One added element to the game is at the beginning you take 4 troops randomly and discard them face down, so you don't know which 4 they are.
Both sides have imperfect.
Both sides have to do that, right? So the imperfect information adds a lot to this game that makes it feel a little less chess-like and a little bit more gambly. Like, if he has a 7, I'm screwed. But maybe his last 7 is one of those 4 that got discarded and actually he doesn't have it.
Always fun.
Then I can make this plan instead. That is really fun.
And there is a certain amount, and obviously you're drawing tiles, and so I could draw the perfect tiles, then you draw your worst tiles, and I win. But like it's 5 minutes, and it's definitely a game where in best of 3, the best player is going to win. But I don't know. I'm just enamored by it. And like all they have to do is release, like, I'm excited if they're going to release like a new army or 2 new armies. Or new maps. It's just so expandable. If it had different artwork, I don't think this game appeals to children, and they went so hard at the like child theme here.
The artwork.
And I don't really get it. I feel like they were a little off base in that. If this had been marketed with just something that was a little less like the box screams, play it with a 4-year-old. I think this is like the big hit. I think this is like Ark's level hit of the year if they like change the theme a little bit. I don't know. I just think I've never played a 10-minute 2-player game with this much depth before. That's like a new thing to me.
Wow. That's really, that's like a major endorsement.
Yeah, it's very good.
I know I've definitely seen you like playing it, like you're in it. You're feeling it right now. Yeah.
Like I just want to go to a coffee shop with a friend and just play like all day. That would be like a great day.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah. It's fun. Those games that like lifestyle games, are great.
But what's nice is it's so easy to get into. Most lifestyle games would be really hard to get into. It's not it's like backgammon. It's like
it's like
that. This feels like the closest anything in my collection to backgammon. It's exactly right.
Right.
It's exactly how it feels. It brings me that feeling of like, let's just relax, chat, play, and like okay, let's play again. Let's play again.
It's like the thing that you do. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Anyway, huge wreck. Jordan.
J-Dog.
Yes.
J Diggity.
I am going to talk about. Are we ready to talk about? Well, we could talk about Nusfjord or Dune Imperium Uprising. What would you like to talk about, Ben?
Let's talk. I don't care what you have.
I'm going to pick Nusfjord. Okay. We brought Nusfjord to the table.
I feel like that's a good outgrowth of what Matt was saying, because we made a comment about Nusfjord that this would be a good like game that you could just play every weekend.
That's right. It's a great couples game to play every weekend.
This is the Uwe Rosenberg Classic from 2017 about
Nusfjord, which is a fishing village in Norway.
Yeah.
And
brilliant game. I was at Essen. This was the year I went to Essen when it released. And I waited in line to get and never played it. No review. Nobody knew anything. We just knew it was the new Uwe game. Bought it, punched it out, sat in a restaurant, learned the rules, played it, and instantly went, this is incredible. Instantly in love.
It's a great game. It's super fun. And it plays 1 to 5, which is unusual for Uwe games. And it plays very like maybe at its best at 2. I'm not sure. I really love it at 2. Anyway, so we played it the other night. We used a new deck. We used the salmon deck.
Not at 2 though.
We played it at 2.
You played a 2-player?
We played a 2-player. It was date night. So
it was date night. That's right.
On a date. And we played a 2-player with the salmon deck.
Salmon deck, right. Which
now there are like 4, I think, expansion decks. And there's also a big box that's out now that has them all.
Yeah, and I think I seem to remember that the expansion decks were hard to get, but now that the big box is out, suddenly the little expansions are easy. So,
but they came with extra components too, like the little wooden coins, which I don't know if those are in the big box.
Yeah, no, the first expansion came with because it originally had these wooden coins that were like almost like
They were cardboard.
a parody of a like a tiny thing.
Yeah.
It was so tiny. It was like making fun of tiny things.
Yeah. So the way this game works is it's very simple. There's maybe 10 different action spaces.
Yeah.
One of them is as simple as get a single gold. So that's the kind of like territory and quantities you're dealing in. But the game is about fishing. You are going to accrue boats, and the more boats you have, the more fish you'll reap in every round. You got to use those fish both to pay the shareholders of your little fishing company.
Yeah, there's like a weird little 18xx sort of thing going on too.
So it's like you can like issue shares and other players can buy your shares,
like fish
and then you
interest.
have to give them fish every round. You also have to use it to feed your elders. Elders are these cards with art of old people from Norway. And you can get one of them as one of the action spaces, put it down, and you have to feed it a fish from this communal dinner table.
Such a cool,
which is a really fun mechanic because
And charming.
Aggressively
charming.
Right. And then they also take a fish from your catch every time. And then, then whatever fish is left, you get to keep, and some of it might go in reserve, et cetera, et cetera. But you're managing this fish, and then the actions are basically building boats, building buildings, which have special abilities or will score you points, much like any other Uwe game. And
Forest management.
You have like forest boards on your player board. You have to put the building cards on your player board. There's forests that cover up some parts of it, and you can cut them down for wood, or you can thin them out for a little wood without removing them, which is kind of a fun twist on that. And yeah, I mean, I think here's what I'll say about it. It has a bunch of really cute and interesting mechanics, including serving the dinner to the elders and then using the elders and eating the dinner, right? And you need to have dinner available, fish available to use your elders. And also the other cute mechanic in the game is the shares is another cute mechanic. Like all these things are like so small.
Also
and
the building
cute.
cards.
And the building cards is
so
in almost
different
any
every
Uwe game, but they are very different every game, and not all of them come out, which is great. And the different decks had a ton of variety. So there's a lot to explore there. But it's so nice because it's like a 60-minute game. There's only 3 different resources, right? It's just fish, wood, and coins.
Even like a 4-player game is like 90 minutes. Yeah. Not too long.
And I don't know, it just plays really well too.
It's
There's
so
all these little
charming.
interesting tensions. It's
like-
very charming.
It's like peak cozy game. It's like it's such a cozy game.
Right.
It's so delightful. This is another example, as I said when we were playing it, where when people say, "Oh, I don't care about theme. I just care about mechanics." It's like, but this is where theme matters. Like if the theme were like dragons or if it were outer space, whatever, it'd be a cool game. But like the coziness of this game really like brings it up a notch. And it's a really, really fun game. It's such an interesting Uwe game because it's not like a big box like a Feast for Odin or Hallertau, but it's not like small. Well, now there's a big box, but like its release was sort of like this. I don't know. It was like it felt like a genre piece in a weird way.
Yeah, it's like a mid-size Uwe. Like what's the one that takes place with the bats? That's another
it's like
mid-size Uwe.
And Atiwa also very charming.
Yeah.
And actually I think that's actually Atiwa's strongest thing is like how charming it is.
Sure.
I had a very
Ben crushed. Ben had an amazing combo in our game. It was really cool.
I had some building, I think it was called the fish basin or whatever, where every time I got a gold, I would also get a fish. And I also used an elder called the Sailor who would, every time you put out fish on the table, you would get an extra gold and a piece of wood. So every time I was feeding, I would get 2 gold back and a piece of wood. But then I'd also get 2 fish.
Right.
So I was constantly just regenerating my resources. And in the end, I had 54 points, which is
very
huge, crazy. Yeah.
Maybe.
And how many of those points were from the gold coins that you were collecting? Like 20
24. 24 points of gold coin. It was wild.
And so I'll say, like, first of all, it was incredible to watch and it was really fun. Second of all, I should never have let you do that, right?
There was a moment where
I had a moment where I could have stopped it and I didn't think it was that big a deal. And I was very, very wrong.
I was like, he's going to take the Sailor because I already had like an early game fish engine because I had a different elder, a pond builder who was giving me lots of fish.
Yeah.
And so I was able to exploit it. And part of me was like, is this broken? But someone else online I saw had done this a similar engine. And
it just goes to show that even at a 2-player game and a game that comes from Uwe, who can sometimes be somewhat less interactive with some of his games, and also, is kind of this light, fun, thematic, charming game. There's a lot of interaction there. Like you need to be looking at what players are building, what their abilities are, and move against them when they're going to get this like unbreakable combo.
And Nusfjord also has that cool thing that I always love in a game where if I do something that's going to help me, I'm going to sort of help you out. Like I need to put a fish on a plate to get some gold. That means that you're going to have that fish to take an elder. And so it's like, how long can I hold off without like helping you, you know? And like, how do I time that out? And his 2-player games, like Field of Arles, has some of that as well. But this one really, you see it a lot. There's like the issuing shares, and then you can scoop them up. There's a lot of like
little trade-offs like that. Yeah,
that are really fun.
Yeah, super fun game. Would recommend to any Uwe fans.
It was great to revisit that one. That was my first time playing it in person. I'd only played it online with you, Matt. So it was great to do the tactile.
I'm always down to play that.
Back when
I just was in Norway, so I was like, "Ooh,
that's right."
You know,
back when my partner was my primary game partner, like when we were living in like New York or in Paris, we played a ton of Nusfjord. Like that was the game that like was great as a couples game because it's deep enough, but it's also charming enough and cute enough. So it's a really good couples game. I mean,
there's a handful of Uvas that I would like: Ora Labora, Le Havre, Nusfjord, Hallertau, Agricola. There's no time I say no to any of those games. I love them all.
This is the lightest of the games you mentioned, though, I think.
Yeah, maybe, probably. Yeah. No, you're right. Yes, it definitely is. It definitely is. It's also the shortest.
Yeah. Also, low-key, people don't ever talk about it, but I really enjoy At the Gates of Loyang.
I do too. I like
it's a fun one.
Weirdly.
It's a fun one. That's also really good at 2 players. It's sort of like a card game, but also like
can be a little cutthroat, that one too.
Yeah. But there's some cards that are cutthroat that you can take out by design. But anyway, that was really fun to play that.
Super fun. And just kind of spur of the moment. Just 2 of us left. End of a long game night.
So let's do it.
It was great.
Back to you, Ben.
Similar to Nusfjord, a game that I also find very cozy that I played recently, as in a few hours ago, Dune Uprising. The coziest of the games, I'd argue.
Dune Imperium
Uprising.
With the Bloodlines expansion.
Yeah. All like extra Dune-y. More sand. It came with a little bag of sand. Well, as anyone who's listened to this podcast knows, I have a complicated history with Dune Imperium in that I have disliked it vigorously for many years because I was the victim of a horrific teach and the victim of my own emotions. And I had such a bad time that one time, mainly because I didn't understand what the game was.
Right.
The game was not taught properly. I wanted to play a different game. I was just had an internal tantrum, and I've just associated all these bad feelings towards Dune Imperium. And as I've mentioned before on this podcast, I have sort of been coming around to it again, being more open, partially because a friend of mine, I've been seeing his enthusiasm that he plays with a group of fellow gays in Chicago called the Dune Daddies, and they'd have a great time. He literally just posted today about another session they had, and I'm like, they're having so much fun. I have to be able to access this. I have to get over myself. And then the app came out, etc. Well, finally, at long last, today, right before we started podcasting, we played a game of the 3 of us of Dune Imperium Uprising. My first time
with the Bloodlines expansion.
With the Bloodlines expansion and worms. And this is the first time revisiting since that initial terrible time.
That fateful night.
Yeah.
So the question is, could I get over myself? Could I get over my past trauma? The answer is yes, everyone. Yes, it was so fun. I loved it. I had such a good time.
It was great.
I had a great time.
It's a great game. We're snobby little jerks who always like to poop on the thing everyone loves, but this game deserves it.
It was super fun. I mean, I the last like 2 rounds or so, I had some tough moments where things didn't go my well, and I really felt it. I really felt it. Yeah. And I was on the verge of really unleashing on Jordan, and I don't think he really deserved any of it. But it was like my meaning that like I had emotion in me that was about to come bubbling out, and it was going to hit someone.
Yeah,
you know?
Sure.
It was about to hit you. And I kept it in, and now it's dissipated. So
yeah. I didn't feel that at all in the moment.
Okay,
so,
but it's also kind of one of those games where that's going to happen.
Sure,
right? You're going to kind of I think it's tonally within the game. Like every game, there's going to be a conflict. And actually, what I was so impressed with is that I have gone on the record so many times saying that I don't love games where cubes go on and cubes come off. Like, okay, you do all this effort to get cubes onto the board, and then someone takes them off. I really did not have any issues with that. I had a great time. I really had so much fun, and I was so happy to turn the corner on this game. Also, to know that I have the capacity to turn the corner on a game was really nice to know for myself.
Yeah,
and I have played I sort of played the tutorial on the app of like the base game. And
the original, yeah. So there's two different base games. There's Dune Imperium and then Dune Imperium Uprising.
Correct.
Right.
And so I have Dune Imperium, and I really enjoyed all the changes that were made in this one, in Dune Imperium Uprising. Like, I would get this game. Like, I really, really, I thought it was super fun. I mean, there were a few small things where, like, learning game moments where it's like, oh, that thing I thought I could do, I can't do that, you know? And it's always harsh when that happens. Way harsh, Ty. But it was really great. And if I had managed I don't think I would have won, but if I had managed my last turn properly, I could have gotten, I think, like 3 points that round. Yeah. But I flopped. So
I'm very excited that you like this because the designer Paul Denon has Lightning Train coming out around Labor Day this year, which is his train game.
Yeah, and that's the most hyped game for Essen, I think, is Lightning Train.
Bag building game,
I think you
train game, I believe. Yeah, it's a bag building train game from the designer of Dune Imperium.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm all in on that. That's coming out, releasing at Gen Con, and then will be available for retail around Labor Day. So.
Is Dune Imperium Uprising available on the app?
No, not yet.
Just the basic one.
If they do, it's going to be great. I cannot wait for that. So I played a lot of Dune Imperium, and then I've played a little of Dune Imperium Uprising, but enough to never want to play base Dune Imperium again. I just think that there's nothing wrong with base Dune Imperium, especially with some of the expansions. I think I've played all the expansions for that one too.
I'm in the same boat as you, but I will say there are people online who think that it is a vanilla and chocolate situation, and sometimes you don't want to play one and sometimes the other, which was surprising to me as well. But I do think there are some people who hold
I can see that, and you know what? Maybe when it was just base Dune Imperium Uprising, then that's absolutely true. Because do you want the one with lots of expansions, or do you want just the base one? But now that I think Dune Imperium Uprising has Bloodlines, which we played for the first time today, which I also would never play without. It's not a complicated expansion; it's just a more expansion. It adds a bunch of new cards, which obviously is the most impactful thing in a deck building game.
The text.
What's that? No. I mean, just cards, like cards that you buy.
Too.
Yeah,
there are cards that interact with the text.
Right. And then it add 2 modules, which is the Sardaukar, which is basically like people that, warriors that you can recruit that then you can sort of build to bear them into these super beings by adding these different powers to them. And it also gives you incentive to go to some of the spots on the board that usually were never gone to before. And then techs, which also take the entire council section of the board, which also is not the most common place you go to, but every time you go there now you can buy with spice, also gives you something to spend spice on, a permanent new superpower for the game.
I will say the Sardaukar basically just adding value to 5 spots on the board, saying essentially the first person who goes here probably will buy this cube and get an extra little benefit, is really interesting as a design space. They're just like, these spots are a little underpowered. We're going to zhuzh them up.
Yeah.
And just put these
but
cubes
not make
on
them
those
too
5
easy.
spaces.
Like you still got to use that money, which is like the second tightest resource in the game after water, I think.
Yeah, for me, I was playing with the Sardaukar a lot. Like, I actually was really engaging with these expansion elements, and I was having fun with them. I misunderstood them slightly, but it didn't really impact like the utility, because it wasn't like I never, the way I thought that they worked, I never used them in the way that I thought they worked. So I never had a moment like where it didn't work the way I wanted it to work, if that makes sense to anyone. Yeah. But I did enjoy playing with those. And I definitely recognize how, as someone who has very little experience with the game overall, I can see probably where I had some mismanagement of certain things. But I also feel like for like probably 3/4 of the game, I was in the mix with everyone else. Like, I was either winning battles or coming in second every time. So I had a nice flow of stuff. I had a nice engine going on. I was very happy and having a lot of fun with my engine. And then at a certain point, it dovetailed with things sort of fell apart for me. And then that's when things ramped up for you guys. And so then I just sort of like fell out of the mix. Yeah. But I still had a really fun time in that process. And I know it sounds so cheesy, but like sometimes even if you don't win, like if you're having fun just pulling levers, like that matters too. Like, you know, sometimes you play a game and you're like, oh, I'm not going to win this game because I realize I'm not actually converting anything to points, but the thing I'm doing is really fun, so I'll keep on doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
One of the fun things about this game is it ends when any player gets to 10 points in a round, and suddenly
it's a race game.
But it really has a big explosion at the end, which feels good. Like the way they've designed it to, you know, the winner or like the, you know, all the players maybe in the final round will have a big explosion of points. That's really fun.
It's one of those games where the game is like 5 to 8 rounds or something, and you get half your points in the first 5 rounds and then the other half in the round after that.
Right, exactly.
Like you get as many points in one round in the last round as you did the entire game up until then.
Yeah.
It explodes.
Yeah.
I'm just, it was super fun. And I'm really glad. I want to play it some more. I mean, I want to play a lot of games. My only thing is that there could be a lot of games I'm going to still want to play. Like I'm going to want to play Oranges and Lemons a lot more. I want to play this some more. I want to play, I mentioned it several times in the podcast, Land and Freedom. I'm like, really, that's probably the game that's been most on my mind, this game. And then the various 18XX games. There's like always so many games to play. So that's what's hard. But this one, I know that what's good with this, for me turning the corner on this game, is that I think overall in the world, there are many more people that want to play this game than some of the obscure ones that I bring around.
Yeah, it's an easy one to get to the table.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
I hope they put it on BGA one day. That would be awesome.
I doubt it because they're selling the app, right?
Yeah, that's right. You're right. True that.
Maybe not. I don't know.
The app is great. Well, as soon as they add it to the app, though, I mean, and people play it competitively on the app. There's a whole like competitive ranked world of people like play a lot.
Wow, wild. Yeah.
Super fun.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt? Another game?
I think I have only one more on my list. So just Shut Up and Sit Down did a great review of Innovation. I love anytime they go back to the past and bring up something that I think is great. Innovation is one of the weirdest games ever made. It's unlike anything else, and it is absolutely brilliant and frustrating and funny and bizarre and just so, I don't know. For me, it's one of those games that's like it's an experience every time I play it. I just like the mechanics of it. And yes, it's insane. And yes, someone at the table is going to do something that makes you go, I hate this game. But then some of the games you're going to do it. And to me, it just feels like a really wild, fun game made by a psychopathic genius who maybe is who's maybe the greatest designer and also the worst designer at the same time. And like, it's just all in there. We played the ultimate edition of it, which I have, and we played with the Unseen expansion, which also just adds, some pretty, I think that's the one expansion to throw in if you're just going to pick one, if you have that, but because it's the simplest and doesn't change it the most. But I know most people in our group don't love it, but I don't know. I just love Carl Chudik. Yeah. I just love the way his brain works. And even on games that don't work, they're always fascinating to me. But Innovation, I think Innovation is a genius 2-player game. And when you play more than that, it's an absolute chaos bomb. But right. It's like it's the only 4. Yeah, and we played with 5 last time, which was 5, so dumb.
Yeah, but we played with like 4 or 5 players. Maybe
well, the whole thing with Ultimate Edition is they added in all these different things to make it more viable at higher player counts because they know it's absurd. And I think they actually did some smart things to make it work there. I like the idea
the new rules, right?
Yeah, I can parlay and ditch a card so like you can't mess with me, but I can also ditch a card so that I can use your cards, and like there's some cool stuff going on there.
There's some interesting stuff, but I still think you should probably just play it at 2.
It's a perfect 2-player.
And I'm going to recommend, instead of the Unseen expansion, which I thought was fine, I think the Echoes expansion was actually...
That was the first one, I think, and that's the one that most people love, yeah. But yeah, I just adore Innovation. It was fun. And it's the number 1 and number 2 on the hotness right now in BGG, and I just love that. And that always makes me happy when Carl Chudik is getting in the limelight.
Something that those 2 games share, Dune and Innovation, is the idea that there's a huge deck of cards, but you might have one card that totally defines your game. And that makes the game feel big, right? It makes it feel like, oh, there's so many different things I can do.
100%.
Because this one card is just my entire strategy.
Yeah. Totally. That's exciting. What about you, Jordan? Any other last games that you have? It's okay. You have Courtisans, right?
Oh yeah, we played Courtisans. It's a cute little card game. You can play up to 5. We played with 5. It's a game where you have a hand of 3 cards, and every turn you're going to play all 3 of them. Each card is associated with a house, so green, blue, yellow, whatever, a suit. And you have to play 1 to your own tableau, 1 to an opponent's tableau, and 1 to the central table. And if you play it above the central table, it counts in favor of that suit, and below it counts against. And basically every suit is either going to be worth +1 or -1 point if it has more cards above the table or more cards below the table. Anyway, it turns into a very snarky, like funny little game because you're just trying to like screw people over. You have these like personal objectives that you're trying to achieve. If you have a card that's worth negative points or is probably going to be worth negative points, you like play it on someone else's tableau. You have to use all your cards. There's a lot of politicking. Yeah. So it's a silly, fun little game. It's dead simple. Takes, 15 minutes to play, maybe 20. And it's really fun. It's a delight. It's a little trifle.
Very nice.
You're a little trifle.
Yeah,
Jordan.
you are.
Thank you, guys.
Jordan Trifle. Saya. So I think the last game that I played that is in sort of Trifle Plus. It's actually more than a Trifle. Isle of Skye. We played Isle of Skye randomly.
Classic Fister.
Isle of Skye, then
Fister.
Nusfjord. Similar art. Similar
We played Secret Hitler, Isle of Skye, then Nusfjord. So
are those both from 2017? They might.
Well, Isle of Skye I think is maybe 2015 or 16. Something like that. I don't know.
I bought it in 2017.
Somewhere like that. But I got the Isle of Skye Big
15,
Box.
Yeah, 15.
Yeah, I got the Isle of Skye Big Box maybe like a year or two ago randomly. I don't know why I bought it.
It's of all the tile layers, it's the one I would most like. I mean, like I'm not a huge tile layer fan, but I definitely like it more than what's the Carcassonne. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There was a period when I got Isle of Skye originally and I played it for the first time. It blew me away.
No, it's
because that auction, and that auction is still
It's a tight auction, and I love
that
auctions.
auction is great. I mean, the idea of the game, in case you somehow have not played this game, because it was a big hit, I think, is that everyone receives 3 tiles, and they have like landscape on it, and like mountains and seas and roads and things like that. And you're trying to actually build a tableau, and you're trying to build a tableau in a certain way that it's going to score for multiple conditions, and the conditions change each round, but it's always going to be a remix of this. There's like 5 conditions out there, 4 or 5 conditions, and each round, some of them will score in different ways. So you're juggling a lot of concepts as you build your tableau out, but the way you get your tiles for the tableau is that there's like this giant auction, and everyone receives 3 tiles. And they put them in front of their player screen, and then secretly they decide which one they're going to ditch. They're going to remove from the auction, and then they're going to put money behind the other 2, and it's like the prices for those tiles. And then we go around the horn, and people can decide to buy tiles off of other people. And if they like the tile, then they give you the money that you set the price at, and then you get the tile. But if no one buys your tile, then you actually have to buy the tile for yourself. And so there's actually so much depth in these decisions, because on the one hand, you're thinking about, how do I price something? Like if you like something, you want to price it high to protect it. But then you don't want to place it too high because you want to save your money. So like, how high does it have to be? And then if there's something that you think someone else might like, you want to price that one, like you want to get your money's worth, but you don't want to overdo it because then you get stuck with it. There's a lot of considerations with that. And then there's also considerations of like, what tile am I going to axe? Am I going to trying to aim to keep these tiles? Am I trying to receive these tiles? It's so much to consider.
Yeah.
And it was just actually really fun to come back to it. And we played with the Tunnels expansion.
Right.
Which it was fine.
It was fine. It didn't really add that much, but it also wasn't very complicated, so you could play with it or not. I think it's fine.
It's a super fun classic game. I think one issue that I've always had with it, not an issue, not a complaint, but something that just happens, is if you fall behind, you really are behind. There's really no coming back.
Yeah, it's so funny because the come from behind, or what is it called? The catch-up mechanic. In the last round, if you're in last in a 5-player game, you get 12 extra money, which is insane. That's a huge amount of extra money. It's not enough. You can't come back.
It's not enough. Because also the money to points ratio is really rough. It's like $5 for every 1 point for every $5. So if you're going to do the bagging strategy where you hold behind and you get a lot of money, it's not really going to convert into points very much.
And you can only buy in the auction. The auction is so brilliant because you can actually only buy 1 tile every round. You only go around the horn 1 time. So that changes things. Like having a huge supply of money does not mean you can buy a bunch of different tiles up, which helps keep things feeling a little bit more balanced. I really think that one of the coolest mechanics in this game is that you have to use your own money to set the prices. So if you're the first player in the round, you might not have as much money to set prices because you have to hold some back to spend. Or maybe, I think one round it might have been you, Ben, like set prices thinking someone would buy their tile and hoping to use that income on their own turn to fund a purchase, and it didn't work out. There's a lot of fun stuff like that around the managing of that, and like setting the right price for a tile, $1 too much that someone doesn't want to spend, or looking over at someone's tableau and thinking, oh man, this tile is a lighthouse. Ben really needs a lighthouse. I'm going to set the price high, and then having them buy it to get the lighthouse feels so good. It just feels
or when
great.
They don't buy it, you're like, no, I'm stuck.
Right, exactly.
Or like when you're setting your prices, you're looking around at the other tiles and you're thinking, ooh, I really want that one. So if I can buy my own tile and I can get that one, then I'm going to have something amazing. And then you reveal, and the other person just kills that one.
Right, that one's axed. Right, I needed that tile. I would have paid anything for that. Yeah, exactly.
So like, there's really so much that goes on, and I kind of like have forgotten about this game because the first time I played, I remember just like it just blew me away. Like I remember giving it like a 9.5. I was like, this is a top 5 game for me of all time. I think I may have even written a review for it on my old blog. Like I liked it that much. But I remember I played it at 2-player, and it's a cute. It becomes cute at 2 players.
Yeah.
The auction, you still have it works at 2 players, but it's not as dynamic and exciting and as interesting with such a small auction. And I played at a low player count, and like
Placed a 5? Normally,
Yeah,
right?
5.
yeah, I think it's best at 5.
Yeah.
And it really is. And then like for as long as it takes, about an hour and 15.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a really good 5-player option. So it's fun to revisit that. You know?
It's super fun.
Yeah,
Classic.
it's a good one. So, yeah, but that's it. That's it
all
for
we
me. That's all
got.
I played, except for some little casual games here and there.
We're just
you know?
catching you all up. There's some big games coming. We got Old King's Court.
Old King's Crown.
Old King's Crown. That ships in about 2 weeks. I'm very excited.
I know,
for
I can't
that.
wait.
Wild, crazy game.
I have some games that are coming in. I don't even know what's coming in. I think I think the Zoo Tycoon expansion. I don't even know why I got the Zoo Tycoon expansion, because I'm like, I got the game to the table once with our group, and like half the people hated it.
Yeah.
But then like, Paul liked it. But I'm like, this is gonna be a game that's gonna be impossible to get to the table. No one in our group is inherently interested in it. So why did I spend a huge amount of money on the expansion? I think I'm just kind of
You're pot committed.
Did it have cute animal minis
animal
in it?
meeples.
Sunk cost fallacy.
That'll do
cute
it.
animal meeples. Really,
That's a lot, yeah.
I mean,
How do you resist?
I think Zoo Tycoon is actually a really interesting game with some emergent strategy. It just has the rules are way heavier than I think its target demo.
Yeah,
and so it's
Well,
just hard
especially because it's based on the video game, right?
It's based on the video game.
Yeah.
I mean, the rules there's so many rules in the game, but I do believe that there is a game in there. Like I can see it, but the rule book is shitty also, and I don't know.
Yeah, you're damning with faint praise. Then.
Yeah.
I just hope someone.
But yeah,
will
Old
play.
King's Crown's coming soon. That's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Shinjuku, I'm excited to play.
Yeah,
Shinjuku.
I want to try Shinjuku.
Cargo Empire, I'm excited to play. Even if my 5th player expansion is like literally has no capabilities to play with, you know.
So
But-
come back soon for updates on all those.
Yeah, we're gonna play a whole
the
bunch of
Daggerheart campaign. We're going to do a bunch of updates.
Yeah, we'll be playing all sorts of fun games and doing some deep. But there's a lot of games that we haven't even done the deep dives for that we can totally do them. So
Yeah. A lot of the games we haven't talked about today
Endeavor.
deserve
Yeah.
a little more love and care.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm happy to be back. I hope you'll be hearing more of my voice soon, my AI voice. I feel like people fell for it.
Stop mentioning that you're AI.
Jordan, Ben, always a pleasure to see you all. Jordan, Ben, sorry, why don't you do the little outro because you have a computer in front
I
of you.
can
and
read
do
it.
not.
At this point, I've almost memorized.
I know, me too,
this
but I know I
silliness.
would mess it up.
You've been listening to Game Brain, produced and edited by Matthew Robinson, Tom Donnelly, Trails, and Ben Mandliker. Special thanks to Daedalus for incredible music. More on Daedalus at GameBrainPod.com. Be sure to check him out on. I'm reading the part about Adam Marpelleg. Adam Marpelleg, go to his website. Kerbuloni, or at Kerbuloni on his website, whatever. So you can reach us. You can reach us at email at contact@gamebrainpod.com. I am actually reading this and not having it. I'm really struggling just to read the words on this computer. You can reach us by email at contact@gamebrainpod.com. Thanks for listening, and go play some games with friends.
Or go make some friends with games.
Was that right? Was that...